Reverend Jackson Podcast.
You know, since last March, April, May, whenever it was when the Homeland Security, they went to Diddy's home, he's been in the news every week. New charges drop. People coming out talking about this. He did this, he did that. Public perception of him is he's an animal. Now, in this episode, parts of this episode is going to sound like I'm defending him. Parts of this episode, I'm going to talk about the monster that people is promoting that he is. And accountability. You know, everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be successful. People want music careers, movie careers. They want to be a part of the Hollywood structure, knowing that that is the land of the Baphomet. If you know what the Baphomet is, you know what I'm trying to say. If you have done your research, you know what type of time it is. But, you know, I've been meaning to do this episode, but I haven't got around to have the time to talk about this or whatever. Until Terrence Howard came out with his video on the PBD podcast, the Patrick Beverly David podcast. They was on there talking about science and stuff. I don't know how the entertainment world got intertwined with that conversation, because they was talking about rebuilding Saturn and all type of scientific things. And it was a great conversation. And then when they got into the Hollywood and the movie aspect of it, it got interesting to me because Terrence Howard, he been successful. He was in Hard Out Here for a Pimp. I don't forgot the Hustle and Flow, the movie. You know, he been in a lot of movies that was successful. And it seems like I didn't even know that he was the guy that he is until he came out and started talking more and more and started talking about his philosophy and what he's educated in and the things that he's trying to do scientifically. I didn't know that was him, because when people have him in movies, they make you play what they want you to play. Now, I'm getting ready to read some of these charges that was dropped against Diddy. I think it was 4 or 5 days ago. I'm glad time has, you know what I mean, transpired for me to be able to have this conversation, because I don't like jumping on podcasts talking about trending topics and I don't have enough information. People will get on these platforms and on YouTube immediately right when something hit the news so they can talk about it, so they can get into the algorithm to get views and likes. I understand the game, but you know, a lot of y'all don't be having no structure to your conversation, or y'all don't be having no facts or no information about what y'all talking about. But I'm about to read this piece from Variety.com about the charges that had been dropped against Diddy, and we're gonna give a perspective on it, and I would like to have y'all assist me in the comment section also. Let's get to it. A judge has granted and denied charges brought against Sean Diddy Combs in a $30 million lawsuit from former producer Rodney Little Rod Jones alleging sexual assault. Jones initially filed his suit against Combs in New York in February 2024, stating that Combs made unwanted sexual advances and forced him to hire sex workers and engage in relations with him. Jones named Combs as well as a RICO enterprise consisting of his son Justin, his chief of staff Christina Coram, Universal Music Group CEO Lucian Grange, former Motown Records CEO Ethiopia Habtermarine, I can't pronounce that name, I apologize, I just butchered that name, and numerous record labels and Jane and John Doe's. He then revealed several amendment complaints in the months that followed. So, but in order filed earlier today and reviewed by Variety Judge J. Paul Octon, granted and denied parts of Combs' August 2024 motion to dismiss the case. The order also reprimanded Jones' attorney Tyrone Blackburn and described his conduct regarding the motion as unsettling. The judge dismissed the RICO, Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupting Organizations Act charges against Combs and Coram in the case, failing to find a valuable argument in Jones' opposition brief in that it should not be necessary to root around a 402 paragraph complaint to contrive novel agreements arguments on Jones' behalf. He also dismissed negligent and intentional infliction of emotional distress claims, breach of contract claims, and the Trafficking Victims Protection Act claim against Combs Global. The TVPA claims against Combs and Coram were granted, and the judge declined to dismiss sexual assault and liability claims. Man, this is a lot. I'm going to keep reading it or whatever, though, but I want to give a take for a minute there. When I first heard about this RICO thing, I thought it was just him independently. And I was wondering how you can tie one individual to a RICO. It just didn't make sense to me. But now reading this, his son was a part of the RICO. Lucian Grange was part of the RICO. And some of the people that worked with him was part of the RICO. And he couldn't prove that. Now, one thing that I've always said about this, even when me and my dog T Reezy had conversated about this multitude of times on the channel. I conversated with my dog Rob on the channel. I've conversated behind the scenes. Being a freak boy ain't a crime. And a lot of people don't want to hold themselves accountable. Diddy may have done a lot of crimes. He may have harmed people. He may have beat people up. He may have essayed you. But when I think about me and my life and the things that I've been through, I held myself accountable. If you know this nigga on this freakish time, why are you being in his presence? Why do you want to be in the studio with him? Why you want to be a part of his record label if you know he on freak boy time and that don't represent you? I know you want to be in the music industry, but is your manhood worth it? Let me keep reading. For real. The motion also issued a stern warning to Blackburn, stating that his filings are replete and inaccurate statements of law, conclusory accusations, and inappropriate ad hominem attacks of opposing counsel. The judge referenced Blackburn's opposition brief and the complaint as full of irrelevant insults, misstatements, and exaggerations, stating that another further misconduct may lead to sanctions or referral for discipline. In a statement provided to Variety, Blackburn commented, "A win is a win. Playtime is over. Now it's time for discovery." Jones filed the suit in February 24 after producing 6 songs on Combs' Grammy-nominated The Love album Off the Grid that released in September 2023. He claims that Combs acquired, used, and distributed ecstasy, cocaine, and other illicit drugs, displaying illegal firearms and laced alcohol beverages provided to minors and workers at his various homes, among other allegations. After Combs filed 2 amendment complaints, Combs filed his own motion to dismiss in August 2024. Jones' second amendment complaint is his third attempt to address run-up-the-mill commercial disagreement as a salacious RICO conspiracy, read the motion. Running to nearly 100 pages, it concludes countless telltales, shameless celebrity name drops, and irrelevant images. My fault, y'all. Yet, despite all its hyperbole and lurid theatrics, the SAC fails to state a single valuable claim against any of the Combs defendants. Let me hit this water, y'all, right quick. I think a lot of these folks may have went through something. If these things are true, Diddy deserved that time. He deserved all the time if these things are true. But if that pollen kicking my ass, y'all, kicking my ass. But if these things aren't true, should the people who make these accusations be held accountable? Because they're not holding themselves accountable. If you don't hold yourself accountable for your actions, eventually you'll be held accountable for your actions. A lot of people don't like accountability. They react with emotions and feelings and get themselves involved in things that they shouldn't have never been involved in the first place. Foolishness. Now, I was listening to Academics platform, and he had DJ Vlad on his platform, and Vlad had something to say. I don't got the dang on visual, y'all. I apologize about the visual, not having the visual, but I'm gonna play the audio right quick for y'all, and I hope y'all can hear this. This audio on her, he was talking about how somebody he interviews, somebody who he conversed with on his platform all the time, had something to say to him about the Diddy case and the Diddy trial and what he thinks is going to happen. And this is what he had to say.
I'm not 100% sure of this, but someone I know who, if you watch Vlad TV, you've seen this person on my show.
It could be anybody.
Had a contact with the feds, and someone at the feds told him that Diddy's getting bail.
Now you know why I can believe that. I can believe that because when he was initially arrested, it was 3 charges. It was the trafficking one, it was the RICO, and it was the SA. The RICO has been dropped. The trafficking, that's going to be hard to prove. The assault, how is that going to be proved? Who's going to come forth and say he was hurt? Because that video of what he did with Cassie, he's not even being charged for that. Now, it's a multitude of other charges that can probably come up, but not saying I want him to be free, not saying that he's not guilty for something. It's just that the man tried to make a $50 million bond and they didn't let him free. He's a criminal. He's a monster. He's whatever you perceive him to be. But I ain't really a person that is standing up for the law enforcement. I'm not one of those type of people that want to see people in jail. I ain't one of those type of people that want to see everything broken apart or whatever, even though I know he was part of the power structure in the entertainment industry, and it's a foul game and it's a foul business, and somebody taught him the way. But I ain't with the police and with the structure of laws and things like that. It's just because they do things that ain't right. So, it's just a interesting thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing it transpire even more. But let me keep going forward in the conversation, because this is what I really want to talk about. The Terrence Howard thing, man. He said this on Patrick Beverly Davis' platform, and this shit went viral. Everybody talking about it.
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there, because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary.
We produce 1,500 sperms per heartbeat because the aggression is necessary. You know, how, like, my mind frame goes to this. How could I recover after letting somebody clap my cheeks or getting my cheeks clapped? Either or. Ain't no way, big dog. You know, Terrence Howard, what he said, it was powerful, because to me, ain't no way. I don't think nothing worse than that. Like, I'd rather you pop me in the leg before you take my cheeks. But you know what's crazy about that? Nobody got proof that Diddy was taking cheeks. That's the thing. That's why I've been saying what I've been saying about him being arrested. Is he taking cheeks, or are y'all willing participants? Is he taking cheeks, or are y'all willing participants? You know, man, I don't know what's worse than that. You know, he said on that skit that I just played that you can't get it out your head. Man, I wanted to make it in the music industry bad. I have 15 albums that I release fully funded by me, full of integrity, full of morals, and I just couldn't possibly, do anything that's against my beliefs. Nothing. I done been with Ball and G performing in the Heat Stadium when they were signed to Bad Boy at a Diddy party. I done been around a lot of major artists and had opportunities to get distribution and all type of things like that. But if it ain't standing with what I stand for, I'd rather keep doing it independently, because I like doing me, and I don't have to never be famous. But some people are willing participants. And if you don't got proof that you're a willing participant, that you wasn't a willing participant, I really don't believe you, because why you want to be in the presence of somebody like that? I really want, you know me, I ain't no way, big dog, that I'm getting ready to be out here concerned about some shit that I really ain't even wanting to participate in the first place. You're going to have to shoot me. We're going to have to fight, big dog. Real talk, man.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there, and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music, and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit, because the man card means everything.
One more time. Niggas out here getting their cheeks clapped, man. Willing participants, man. That's what I'm thinking. It's not a crime. Even though he shouldn't have that access to be into entertainment business to be able to present that to a person. And he deserves time for that. But because he used his power. He neglected his power and tried to take advantage of people with his power. So he need to be disciplined behind that. But at the end of the day, after hearing Terrence speak and hearing Cat Williams speak, because Cat Williams, he said some things he said, you got to tell him no. Everybody got a Diddy story of how he was trying to clap them cheeks. Everybody that came out with Diddy stories. This is interesting. Hit that like button to help me get in the algorithm. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm very thankful for your presence. We're going to have to see this thing transpire, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Peace, love, plenty, abundance. Make sure you go get you some money. And I'm gone. Chill.
The Terrence Jackson Podcast.